एक विलन रिटर्न्स और एक विलन के साथ साथ he also returned. Now I don't know who is he. Either it has to be John Abraham or Arjun Kapoor. दरअसल एक राज रखा गया है, कोई बता नहीं रहा है कि इसके पीछे है कौन. So who's the villain? Who's the husband? एक villain was supposed to be Arjun, a very profitable franchise, a very profitable film. It was made on a budget of roughly 40 crores. And it garnered around 170 crores worldwide. So which means people loved the story and the thrill and everything. Is that the reason why you loved to be a part of this?
No, I think it's not as simple as just looking at the numbers and deciding to do a film. There's for the most interesting part about this film is कि आपने कहा कि अर्जुन है या जॉन है इस फिल्म की, वही खासियत है कि तारा और दिशा भी हो सकते हैं. And that's what the intrigue is. If you see the trailer, if you notice, the answers to the questions that normally would come through in a trailer we've not given. So we've not made you choose a side. So even in the first one, there was a little bit of clarity about कौन क्या है.
हाँ, पता था.
इस फिल्म में आप ट्रेलर देखे तो ये नहीं बता सकते कि कौन विलन है, बिकॉज हम चारों ही विलन हैं. अब कौन सबसे बड़ा विलन है या कौन सबसे ज़्यादा ग्रे है और किसके रीजंस जस्टिफाइड और नॉट जस्टिफाइड है, वो आपको फिल्म देख के पता लगेगा. सो आई थिंक द स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट ऑफ बीइंग एबल टू मेक अ फ्रैंचाइज सक्सेसफुल इज आल्सो टू हैव अ स्टोरी टू टेल बियॉन्ड द फर्स्ट वन. एंड यस, ऑफ कोर्स, बिकॉज इट इज सक्सेसफुल, you would like to continue working in that. So for me to come in and work in the film, of course, it makes it much simpler because the film did well, the first one.
Of course.
So we get to make a bigger film, a better film, hopefully, out of it. And you have a certain amount of value that the first one brings with the audience. And the same director, which is, I think, for me, was the most important part, is having Mohit Suri back at the helm. Made all the difference in the world for me to say yes. So yes, sometimes films have franchises, but they have different directors or different makers, so the story is very, very different. Here the world is the same, it's a continuation of the same universe, but the characters are all new and all different. So it was exciting for at a writing level also, that the character that I was playing, for me, I'd never played a character like this before. So apart from the commerce, it was also the craft of it that excited me to play an urban action villain, for the example. I think it's not something I've not done before.
You just said villain.
Well, we all are villains, no? That's the thing. I'm not playing a hero for sure.
Beans, bro.
Huh?
You spilled the beans. You are the villain.
No, it's actually all for. आपने मुझे लगता है ट्रेलर नहीं देखा है.
ट्रेलर मैंने देखा.
अगर आप ट्रेलर देखोगे तो आप समझ जाओगे.
अगर मैं हीरो हूँ तो अगर तू हीरो है तो मैं तेरी इस पिक्चर का मैं विलन हूँ. So it's actually quite confusing.
Exactly. So if you see the trailer, we are all villains in the sense my character in the film does not care what people feel. He wants to win at all costs. उसे मरना चलेगा, हारना नहीं. That's his philosophy in life. And he's absolutely fine in being a villain in people's lives. He will go to any extent to destroy them if it means that he's going to be successful. So when you play a character that extreme, you can't consider yourself a hero. Because the moral compass is not of a hero. It's a selfish motive that he operates out of. And which is why even when John says मैं hero हूँ, तो he turns around and he says अगर तू hero है मेरी कहानी का तो मैं तेरी कहानी का villain. He does not want to be the hero in his story. He's saying I want to be the villain in your story also. You be what you want in my story. And that's the angst and the madness and the edge that Gotham lives on. So for me, I'm a villain regardless if you consider me the villain or not. As a character, he wants to be dark. He wants to be known as somebody who's the villain.
Wow. You know, I was just wondering, I was shooting, like I told you, I was shooting with Kicha Sudhi, and we were discussing about narrations.
Yeah.
And I have been listening to a lot of people talking about how important is the narration of a film to the actors. When you start promoting the film, Arjun, and the way you talk to journalists and the media persons, मैंने एक सवाल किया और आपने उसका एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत elaborate जवाब दे दिया. It's as good as narrating the plot of the film.
Perhaps.
Right?
Perhaps.
So you become very eloquent after enacting those characters, just narrating the whole story, right?
I mean, मुझे ऐसा लगता है अगर मैं आपके साथ बैठ के बात करूं और मैं हाँ या ना में जवाब दूं या 2 लाइनें कह दूं 3 लाइनें कह दूं तो आपका इंटरव्यू भी उतना मजेदार नहीं होगा ना. ऐसे लगेगा हम बातचीत कर रहे हैं. So I think anything that engages you should entertain you. अगर आप मुझे देख रहे हो 5 मिनट के लिए doing an interview, at least if I'm not entertaining you, I should make enough sense.
Yes.
And that's what even I think a film is. You entertain, and of course there has to be an emotion or a context behind it. So narrations are great fun, and I think you need to be a storyteller to answer questions also sometimes.
Exactly.
So I guess I'll take that as a huge compliment that I'm a good enough storyteller that I can engage you with my answers.
Yeah, and you know there's some actors are very good at acting, but then when it comes to promoting a film, they get a little jittery about कि यार एक ही बात एक तरह से कहनी है और मैं कितनी तरह से in that way, you know, Vidya Balan is very interesting. ऐसे मजे से वो एक ही बात को 10 बार कहती हैं और 10 तरीकों से कहती हैं.
If you look at it, I'm today I can say this, you will be the last interview I'm doing, but for you it is the first time you're asking me the question. But if I carry the baggage of the first interview to the last interview, I might be tired. And yes, of course, we are human, we do get exhausted. But this is my chance. Maybe somebody doesn't see any of those and might see this one, right? So I still need to give that warmth to you, and I need to put out my film in the best way possible, that it seems as if I only don't seem excited. And I'm sure in the past maybe somebody's seen something and said, "Arey yaar, he's looking like he's not interested." It must have just been we are really tired. But the quest is always कि यार जितने मजे से पिक्चर बनाई है और जितना आप चाहते हो कि ऑडियंस आके देखे, आप उतनी एनर्जी अगर इंटरव्यू में नहीं डालोगे, जैसे विद्या लाइक यू आर सेइंग पुट्स, तो थोड़ा सा अजीब लगता है ना कि isn't it your film, then why you not थोड़ा सा and also मैं आपको साल में एक बार मिलता हूँ इंटरव्यू करने के लिए, मैं चाहता हूँ कि आपका इंटरव्यू आप याद रखो यार, नहीं हमने अच्छा इंटरव्यू किया था. I take a lot of pleasure out of giving a good interview also.
Yeah. So last year 2021 has been a fabulous year for you. You had 3 films, सरदार का ग्रैंडसन, संदीप और पिंकी फरार and भूत पुलिस, और तीनों में आपका काम बहुत सराहा गया. संदीप और पिंकी फरार में खास तौर से because it was a very strong storyline, the director was a very acclaimed director. I thought you shone in that film. You actually shone in that, and it is certainly one of the best films of your career.
Thank you. Yeah, I do believe that also.
Great team. Has something changed in the way you're choosing scripts now?
So Sandeep aur Pinky Farrar is not a new selection. It's a film that I was doing, which I committed to doing, and I was excited to do for the simple reason मैं वो इंसान हूँ जो मानता हूँ कि अगर मैं मुबारका कर सकता हूँ अनीस बज़मी के साथ, मैं हाफ गर्लफ्रेंड कर सकता हूँ मोहित सूरी के साथ, तो मैं संदीप और पिंकी फरार कर सकता हूँ दिवाकर बैनर्जी के साथ. मेरा ये मानना है कि आई शुड बी एबल टू प्ले ऑल द 3 कैरेक्टर्स एंड एंजॉय माई सेल्फ एंड कन्विंस द ऑडियंस ऑल्सो. आज भी मैं वो मानता हूँ, लेकिन इफ आई मे से द पैंडेमिक और द लॉकडाउन, व्हेन यू डू स्पेंड टाइम विद योरसेल्फ, अगर आप अपने आप के साथ वक्त बिताएंगे तो एक इम्प्रूवमेंट या ग्रोथ या कुछ चेंज आता है. शायद बुरा भी हो सकता है, लेकिन मेरे साथ अच्छा हुआ. पहली बात तो ये थी, जैसे आप कह रही थी अबाउट डायरेक्टर्स, I've always valued that, but at the same time I also went back to the child inside me, जो मैं एक ऑडियंस की तरह पिक्चर है जब देखता था, जब मैं एक्टर नहीं था, कहीं ना कहीं वो छूट जाता है. You know, when you become an actor who's working constantly, you don't go to the theatre often. You also start thinking about what the audience wants to see. You forget that you are the audience. आपके आसपास लोग आपको बोलते हैं कि इस तरह की पिक्चर, उस तरह की पिक्चर, लेकिन आप किस तरह की करना चाहते हो वो कहीं ना कहीं ब्लर हो जाता है. So if I may say, my learning out of Sandeep और Pinky Farar's success or the adulation, and by success I'm not talking box office, it's just मैं हाल ही में कुत्ते के लिए शूटिंग करा था नसीर सर के साथ, और नसीर सर के साथ फाइंडिंग फानी कर चुका हूँ. जब वो पहले दिन आए सेट पे तो कुमुद सर और नसीर सर के साथ मेरा सीन था. अब मैं नसीरुद्दीन शाह को मिलने, तो आप गले मिलने जाओगे नहीं सीधा, तो मैंने हाथ बढ़ाया, हालांकि मैं उनको जानता हूँ. मुझे उन्होंने गले लगा लिया और उन्होंने कहा यार मैंने तेरी दिवाकर की फिल्म देखी, बहुत अच्छा काम किया. अब जब नसीरुद्दीन शाह आपको ये बोलते हैं, यानी कि आई थिंक दैट्स द एपिटोम ऑफ टैलेंट एंड क्राफ्ट. एंड कुमुद सर आल्सो सेड, एंड व्हिच कुमुद सर हैड टोल्ड मी इन द पास्ट, ही सेड हाँ बिल्कुल मैं वेट कर रहा था कि अर्जुन कब चूकेगा उस फिल्म में अपनी डायलेक्ट को लेकर, अपनी परफॉर्मेंस और बॉडी लैंग्वेज को लेकर, और आपने मौका ही नहीं दिया हमें पकड़ने का. तो कहीं ना कहीं आत्मविश्वास आता है उससे कि यार यू आर हेडिंग इन द राइट डायरेक्शन. सो समटाइम्स दैट्स ऑल यू नीड दैट वन मोमेंट टू रियलाइज यू नीड टू बी convinced at a core level about why you're doing a film, and the audience will connect with that. So like I said, in this last 1.5-2 years I've decided to go back to my impulse and instinct in selecting material and do it more for the audience that I am. मैं अगर मैं ये फिल्म देखना चाहता हूँ, करना चाहता हूँ, तो ही करूँगा. अगर मुझे कुछ पर्सनली एक्साइटिंग लगता है कि इमोशनल स्टेक है मेरी, अगर मैं ऐसे ही कर रहा हूँ फिल्म, तो मुझे लगता है कहीं ना कहीं वो गलत हो जाएगा. So I've gone back to that thought. And yes, like I said, directors, the setup, the story, everything matters. But eventually पेट के अंदर गुदगुदी होनी चाहिए. एक होता है कि ट्रेलर देखो पिक्चर का तो मन करता है, तो वैसे ही होना चाहिए. अगर कहानी सुनो या पढ़ो तो एक गुदगुदी होनी चाहिए यार, ये पिक्चर देखने में या बनाने में मजा जरूर आएगा. बस वो सो कैलकुलेशन मेरे बस की नहीं है. आई थिंक आई रियलाइज कि मैं मैनिपुलेट नहीं कर सकता अपने आप को टू बी डूइंग थिंग्स. I'd rather just follow my gut. Because देर आए पर दुरुस्त आए वाली बात है फरार को लेके। और जैसे हाल ही में मैंने नोटिस किया भूत पुलिस के बारे में जब लोग बात करते हैं तो फैमिलीज एंजॉयड इट, तो आई डिड इट जस्ट बिकॉज़ आई वांटेड टू वर्क विद सैफ अली खान एंड आई वाज वेरी, सो मेरा इमोशन सही था बिकॉज़ मैं सैफ अली खान का फैन हूं एज एन ऑडियंस। आई सेड यार मुझे चाहिए कि वो कॉमेडी करे मेरे सामने और मैं बस रिएक्शन देता हूं। और वही लोगों को पसंद आई चीज, दैट आई वाज नॉट ट्राइंग टू आउटडू हिम इन द फिल्म, आई वाज जस्ट रिस्पोंडिंग टू व्हाट ही वाज डूइंग। I think sometimes your intent has to be clear in your own head while you're doing a film, and for that you need to feel like a viewer or a consumer rather than an actor alone in material selection. And then you put your best effort as an actor. So if one thing has changed, I would say I've tried to go back to my roots of being a film consumer.
And you know, Arjun, also before turning into an actor, you were an AD for a long time. And that would have also given you a skill set that made you understand a lot about production, direction and performances and your view of actors from outside the prism, you know, of somebody who is not an actor and looking at the actor and thinking कि यार मैं ये बात मैं उनको बोलना चाहता हूँ लेकिन बुरा मान जाएंगे, you know, you feel like that.
My first film, I had the pleasure of seeing Shah Rukh Khan and Saif Ali Khan and Preeti Zinta and Jaya Bachchan. So I was on Kal Ho Na set and you value the hard work that goes into make a film. Till you're not on a set, आपको कहीं ना कहीं वो पता नहीं लगता कि मेहनत का काम है भाई.
सही बात है.
Even though I'm from the industry, you know you come in as a child on your father's set, you're pampered and taken care of. It's very different. You're a child. I was a terrible assistant on Kal Ho Na, if I may say so.
Why terrible?
I was very young and I was
How old were you?
I was 16, 17.
Okay.
तो मैं अच्छा assistant नहीं था ज़्यादा and I don't deny that at all. I've been caught sleeping and all on set also. तो but फिर भी सीखने का मौका ज़रूर मिला. एक्टर को देखने का मौका मिला, क्लैप देता था, मेकिंग करता था फिल्म की उस समय. So you're very right about the fact that you understand the facets of filmmaking, and I think an actor today, when you're making films, I'm not saying you need to be aware of everything, but you need to be aware that there is a lot going on to make sure that you can give this shot. So the professionalism has to come from an awareness of saying कि यार जो ये 200 लोग आए हैं, ये इसीलिए आए हैं और इतनी मेहनत कर रहे हैं, सुबह 4 बजे जाग के कैमरा निकाल के सेटअप करके लाइव लोकेशन पे जाके भाग दौड़ करके वहाँ पे ब्रेकफास्ट सर्व हो रहा है और आप आ रहे हो तैयार होके. तो it is not an achievement that you're coming on time and giving a shot.
Right.
You owe it to your profession. You owe it to the 200 people that you're working with because it's a team effort. ये 200 लोग अपना काम अच्छी तरह करें ताकि आप भी कर सको.
True.
So you have to be a responsible artist on set. I think that's the biggest learning I got by being an assistant, that the amount of effort that goes on behind the scenes you will never know as an actor. But any actor that respects his team, the people, their time, the effort, you're allowed to have emotional, because family होती है, you're allowed to have emotional moments, but एकजुट होके काम करने की जो ताकत होती है, मुझे लगता है तभी आप अपने काम को इज्जत दे सकते हो और आप दूसरों को भी इज्जत देते हो. So that for me was a big learning when I was growing up, that yes, hard work is very important in this profession, contrary to what you feel from outside.
Of course, but you know, you are directly related to several people in the industry in a way that you
too many people I feel sometimes.
Too many, exactly. You assisted
जी.
the director in Kal Ho Na Ho. You saw Shah Rukh Khan very closely.
Yes.
You assisted Saif Ali Khan very closely. I mean,
as an assistant.
As an assistant, and then you worked with Saif. Your father has been one of those producers who've seen everything in the under the sun in the film industry. If the viewers watching you want to know several things about the film industry that they must learn via the experiences of these people, what can we learn from these people?
मैं तो अपनी फैमिली से बहुत कुछ ही सीखा हूँ, because रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में you're always engaging about work knowingly or unknowingly. I think from my father, the one thing that I have learned is the decency you need to have as a person, regardless of success and failure. He's seen lots of ups and downs, and he's always been a selfless person. And in this profession, you need to also be there for others, and you also need to be a certain way with others. I think I've never met a person who doesn't have a kind word to say about my father for that reason, because it's the way you conduct yourself. आपने एक ऊंचा मकाम हासिल जरूर किया है, लेकिन you cannot forget how to behave with people who are working with you, for you. A producer is the leader of the film. Eventually, that code of conduct will be followed by all the 200 people on set. You know, अगर आपको एक अपनापन लगता है तो आप अपनी इस फिल्म को भी एक इमोशन दोगे. At least मेरे फादर ये हमेशा मानते हैं और मैं भी ये मानता हूँ. I think if there's one thing I've held is, जैसे हमारे कंपनी में कहावत है, you know, my grandfather used to tell my father, which he told me once. He said, आज अगर 200 लोग की शूटिंग है तो 250 लोग का खाना मंगा.
क्या बात है.
And I think that says a lot about the culture that we come from. कि लोग आते हैं सिर्फ 2 चीज़ों के लिए. पैसे तो बाद में मिलते हैं, अपना घर बार छोड़ के फैमिली छोड़ के आते हैं, अगर 3 वक्त का खाना ठीक से नहीं दे सकते तो फिर क्या फायदा, आपने क्या कमा लिया जिंदगी में. So that's a very big thing for me. I really feel, you know, when I'm on set also, I want people to be happy working on set. And that comes from the way you behave and the way the people around you conduct themselves. So I think that's something I learned from that. Shah Rukh Khan से क्या नहीं सीख सकता आदमी, हर रोज कुछ सीख ले यार. But जिस तरह वो औरतों की इज्जत करते हैं, I think off camera हो, जिस तरह वो औरतों को रोमांस करते हैं शायद इसीलिए कर पाते हैं because वो genuinely उनको वैल्यू करते हैं. And I'm sure you've interacted with him. When Shah Rukh Khan speaks to you, he's talking to you.
Yeah, totally.
The way he engages with you. And Shah Rukh Khan is blessed with oratory skills. You know, जिस तरह वो बात करते हैं और एक अपनापन महसूस कराते हैं, आपकी आंखों के अंदर झांक के देख सकते हैं. आज भी मैं उनके घर कभी जाता हूँ तो वो बाहर तक आके दरवाजा खोल के मुझे गाड़ी में बैठाते हैं. And I'm saying women specifically because I think that's very important for young people to know that that man is one of the biggest stars this world will ever see.
World will ever see, yeah.
But just the fact that he has that understanding of how to be different with a man and a woman shows his upbringing, his culture, his thought process. And if you can imbibe on camera तो आप सैकड़ों, लेकिन off camera अगर शाहरुख खान से कुछ सीखना है तो बस वही सीखो कि किस तरह वो औरतों के साथ बर्ताव करते हैं. And that is why he is the most charming man in the world. And that is why I'm a bigger fan of his, not because how he behaves with me, but when I'm around him, when I see him talking to women, behaving, interacting, the love he gives, the warmth he gives. What else does one have except that to give, you know, in a moment? And he gives you everything in that moment. Saif, Saif is he's a child. He's a mad genius.
Actually, he's a man child.
He's got eccentricities in him as an actor, which come from a place of him also as a person having that. Very feisty actor to work with because you can never predict what he'll do, and that's amazing. So on camera, he's definitely got all the qualities to keep you on your toes, and that's amazing. And I'm a huge Saif Ali Khan fan. But I think on camera or off camera, the one thing that I love about Saif is he's seen so much failure, you know.
So much failure, yeah.
And he's not bothered by it. He's not. He's moved into that stage in life, or perhaps he's achieved so much in life despite the failures that he's fought back every time, and he knows he's got that inner confidence and he's got that inner ease. Like you said, he's not chasing. He's never chased.
He's not chasing.
I think whenever he's just been tremendous in a film, the love comes to him. He doesn't go chasing. He's not somebody who's chasing the limelight either. Even on set, he's not chasing to be the center of attention. It is just that he attracts because of how powerful he is as a performer. And as a personality. And that madness or that eccentricity or that childishness that you call makes him more attractive to you because he's a very interesting person. He's well read. There's a personal style. He's never imitated anybody. You know, people who made fun of his voice and all today love his voice.
Totally.
People who thought he looked so different today, he's one of the most good-looking men. So Saif Ali Khan has remained himself enigmatic in a way.
True.
And he's attracted on the merit of his talent versus trying to go out there and do PR or try to position himself for posture. So that's a 25, 30-year career now. It's amazing, and that's something I would love to also replicate. You shouldn't chase. You should just have that aura that people come towards you for the work that you do and the way you are as a person.
You know, I have a couple of director friends. हर director एक नई बोली बोलता है अर्जुन. Some directors say कि यार मुझे पैसे का ज़्यादा शौक नहीं, मैं तो यहाँ पे इतिहास रचने आया हूँ. कुछ डायरेक्टर्स का ये रहता है कि I want to impact the society and I want to leave a legacy. कुछ कहते हैं यार अगर पिक्चर ने पैसे नहीं कमाए तो क्या फायदा, आप छोड़ के घर जाओ ना फिर. कुछ लोग कुछ कहते हैं, कुछ लोग कुछ कहते हैं ना. Sometimes I feel if I were an actor, I would be so confused whether what is in and what is out, and what do the directors want? How do you manage the choices of your film?
नहीं वही चीज है because 6 महीने पहले जो इन था वो 6 महीने बाद आउट हो जाता है, तब तक पिक्चर बन जाती है. आप जनवरी में जाके बोलते हो यार मुझे क्रेडिबिलिटी चाहिए और जब तक दिसंबर में फिल्म रिलीज होती है आपको तभी कमर्शियल सक्सेस भी चाहिए.
Exactly.
जब कमर्शियली पिक्चरें चलती है और रिव्यूज थोड़े खराब आते बोलते नहीं यार इस बार मुझे इज्जत कमानी है. सच बात ये है, and I can just say this as somebody who's now worked here for a few years, you will never get the perfect balance of both, and you should work in all ways to achieve that perfect balance, but be prepared that you will never achieve because that perfect equilibrium comes very rarely in a person's career. Aspiration दोनों की रखनी चाहिए, but you should not start looking down upon commercial cinema just because you've had a failure on it. And just because you've not got the kind of respect that you expect. If the film has done well, you must enjoy that. At the same time, you must not distance yourself from saying, yeah, my craft I would like to improve, the legacy I want to leave behind. There are few films that you do for legacy. You must do those also. But don't be deluded about the fact that you can achieve the craft and the commerce in the perfect balance every time. You know, आप दोनों chase करो. और there is no rule कि you can do one or the other. I think, like I said, मुबारक का भी करो और संदीप और पिंकी फरार भी करो.
Right.
किसने रोका है आपको?
राइट
पर आप जिस वजह से संदीप और पिंकी फरार कर रहे हो वो क्लियर होनी चाहिए. आई कैन नॉट डू संदीप और पिंकी फरार सिंह मैं इस बार 150 करोड़ भी कमाऊंगा और मुझे 4 स्टार्स भी चाहिए.
करेक्ट
और आप मुबारक का करते वक्त ये उम्मीद नहीं करोगे यार कि क्रिटिक्स इस बार बहुत ज्यादा प्यार दे दे हमारी पिक्चर को, बिकॉज हम बना रहे हैं ऐसी फिल्म जो ऑडियंस के लिए है, जो एंजॉय करने आती है. आई हेट टू से लीव योर ब्रेन्स एट होम, बट इट इज यू कैन स्विच ऑफ योर ब्रेन अ लिटिल बिट एंड एंजॉय द एंटरटेनमेंट क्वेश्चन ऑफ इट. एंड अनीस बज़मी इज प्रूव्ड विद भूल भुलैया दैट ही इज द किंग ऑफ दैट.
टोटली
बट विद मुबारक इफ आई हैव अ क्रिटिकल एक्सपेक्टेशन कि यार ये फिल्म 4-5 स्टार्स होगी, वो हो जाए सोने पे सुहागा.
करेक्ट
वो हो जाता है. जैसे रोहित शेट्टी ने सिम्बा में ऐसी फिल्म बनाई थी, उसके पहले यू नो आई थिंक रणवीर हैड नॉट गॉट दैट काइंड ऑफ क्रिटिकल एंड कमर्शियल acclaim for a film together because Ranveer was so good, the film was enjoyed by everybody. And at the same time then he did Gully Boy, which also won critical acclaim and did well
and
commercially.
so many awards internationally.
Yeah, so that is, you know, sometimes that happens in an actor's career that you hit the right balance, but I don't know if he did Simba only for the critical acclaim, and I don't think he did Gully Boy for the commerce alone.
Correct.
But that happens, so you just have to work and things align for you.
Yeah.
As an actor, it's a little easier. As directors, obviously, you got to stick to your guns and your vision and build your personality through your films. You know, also what you stand for, what you want to say. As actors, हम दोनों दो नाव में पैर रख के मैनेज कर सकते हैं.
कभी-कभी क्या होता है कि कुछ चीजें आप ऐसी कर जाते हैं अपने करियर में जिसकी वजह से आपके अपने फैंस आपको कुछ और करने नहीं देते.
वो भी है.
किच्चा सुदीप टोल्ड मी, मैं दाढ़ी अगर हटा दूं तो मेरे फैंस मुझे जान से मार दें.
हाँ, मैं अगर दाढ़ी निकाल दूं मुझे फैंस का पता नहीं, लेकिन मेरे मेरे बिल्डिंग के बाहर मुझे लोग अंदर आने नहीं देंगे, पहचानेंगे नहीं. वो एक अलग प्रॉब्लम है मेरी.
Okay, so sometimes when you're talking to your directors or producers, do you feel कि कुछ एक road blocks हैं जो बस कुछ form हो गए हैं, इनको मैं कैसे हटाऊं मैं नहीं समझ पाता हूँ.
So I did that very early in my career, you know. Honestly, मुझे पहली 3-4 फिल्मों में एक एक्शन इमेज में देखा गया, गुंडे, शहजादे, तेवर, औरंगजेब, यू नो. तो एक सडनली एक इमेज हावी होने लगी थी, और जब मीडिया से भी मिलता था और लोगों से भी, तो वो अरे आप इंटेंस हो, आप पे एंग्री वाला लुक अच्छा लगता है, बियर्ड है, लंबे बाल है, आप यही करो. तो मेरा वही था यार, मैं यही क्यों करूं? मैं तो एक्टर हूँ, मुझे सब कुछ करना है. और कुछ लोग बोलते थे रोमांटिक फिल्में मत करो आप. ऐसा क्यों नहीं करो यार, मेरे जैसे लोग रोमांस नहीं कर सकते. तो जैसे नहीं, तो ऐसे चलो करेक्ट स्क्रिप्ट होगी तो मैं करूंगा. और वही 2 स्टेट्स कियन का और हाफ गर्लफ्रेंड जो आई मेरी, तीनों रोमांटिक फिल्में, ऑल 3 डिड. आई मीन 2 स्टेट्स वाज अ ब्लॉकबस्टर दैट वन टाइम, 100+ crores, and overseas it was a huge hit. Kiyan ka, my pairing in an off romantic film like Kiyan ka worked. Half Girlfriend did well. So I broke my own image in my head. I didn't want to be bound by it. It is totally up to you. You have to back yourself. See, you will face failure through that also. मैंने ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ सक्सेस ही दिया रोम कॉम्स में. आई हैड माय फेलियर्स इन दैट आल्सो. और ऐसा नहीं कि मैंने एक्शन पिक्चर की थी, वो जैसे तेवर अनफॉर्चुनेटली डिडंट पैन आउट. नमस्ते इंग्लैंड एंड रोमांस डिडंट डू वेल, बट I never got bound by one or the other. I also wanted to do comedy, so I did comedy. I did Mubarak, I did Bhoot Police. And I want to now return back and do an intense action. I wanted to do a cool action film, and I got villain. It's also on you how much you back yourself and your talent to merge from one space to the other. There are blockages, of course. You do get perceived. Like I'm sure today after seeing Villain, if they like my work, I'll be perceived that you should do more work like Villain. I would love to. It's not that I don't want to, but that's not the only thing I want to.
Exactly.
But that depends. Some people are very comfortable giving the audience exactly what they enjoy watching them in. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. Perhaps the only thing is then you got to come not every 3 months, you got to come once a year, so then they look forward to it.
Correct.
If you back yourself as an actor, then you should go out and push yourself to do all kinds of roles if you like to do that also. There's both styles work at the end.
But the actors of your generation, like Amir Khan does one film in a year or once in 2 years. What do you believe in? Do you believe in 2 films in a year? What's your pattern?
I don't have a number, but यार मैं वैसा हूँ, मैं घर पे बैठना पसंद नहीं करता हूँ, पर इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि मैं unnecessarily काम भी करूँ. But it sounds strange if I say this. I would like to pace myself, and I've got 2 other films that are complete almost. I mean, Kutte is complete and Lady Killer is 10 days away from being complete. So I do like to believe that I want to pace myself now because I've worked for 10 years, but at the same time I know मैं उतना restless हूँ कि कुछ अच्छा लगेगा तो कर भी लूँगा. But there can't be a perfect rhythm. हर इंसान का अलग होता है. You know, मैं कई बार मेरी साल में in my 3rd year in my career only I had Gunde, Finding Funny and 2 states released in the same year.
Quite a diversity.
Yeah, so it wasn't planned, but now it happens. But I wouldn't change that for the world. I still wanted to do all three. So
True.
I would say it's nice to have one that you're shooting, have one that you're promoting, and have one that you're about to start shooting
Nice
after.
one.
Yeah.
Good one. So I don't ask personal questions, but congratulations on a beautiful professional life that you're,
Thank you.
personal life that you're
Thank
enjoying,
you.
and I hope to see you in a lot of good projects
Thank you.
that back your talent, that back your ambition, and your view of your future.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.